Recording. So it is Sunday, May 16th, and this is another Sunday Market Blitz session. Me and Nick are just going to run through all of the analysis that we prepared for the community for the week. The analysis is completely free, so it's mainly based on the daily and 4-hour time frame, so you guys can use it throughout the whole week. Again, I was going through the analysis last week that Nick and myself posted, and if you simply just closed your eyes and took some of those trade ideas, guys, you would have made money. You know, I know it's a lot more complicated than that. I mean, obviously everyone here is hopefully trying to learn, but the overall idea of this is we're just giving you guys the trend. What is the trend? And if you just trade with the trend, you guys will relatively be successful. What's up, Joseph?
Right, exactly. So we're just, I mean, this is a very, they're simple concepts, but they're powerful. We're going over price action. We're going over trend trading. We're showing you guys how we do a top-down analysis and what we're looking for and why. So, you will see a lot of these play out during the week, and it could be a very useful tool if you're comparing it to your analysis, or if you're trading some of these pairs and you're using ours as kind of a guide alongside yours. So there's a lot of ways that you can use this to benefit and get value out of it for sure.
Yes, sir. That being said, want to just get right into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start off again. We're doing top-down analysis. We're going to highlight the trend for you guys. We're going to explain what we're looking at, but I'm going to do something pretty similar on every pair. We're just going to start on the daily time frame with, again, every pair for the most part. Kind of assess the trend, see what's happened recently, see what some of the major zones are, and then drop to the 4-hour and go over both a bullish and bearish scenario. Okay, so here we are on the daily time frame on DXY. So we've been bearish for quite a while, especially since, if we look even further back towards March 2020, we've been falling off since then. So what's highlighting a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, we're breaking through support levels. So this monthly is actually very interesting, right at 91.5, because generally, as long as price action is above it, it's bullish, and if it's below it, it's pretty much bearish. And we've seen it cross a bunch of times here already. So initially, we broke back here, in December 2020, we looked pretty bearish. We even came back up, retested, started pushing lower again. The dollar started recovering. We saw our first higher low above this monthly, started pushing up again. This turned out just to be a larger pullback in a very prominent, bearish trend. And then what happened, pushed us back through the monthly, got some retests. We have a, increasing volume here, and, it's looking like it's going to continue bearish. So very interesting. Again, as long as we're below this level, it's generally bearish. So let's drop to the 4-hour now and see what's going on. So this is also super important why we analyze DXY, which is essentially just the strength of the dollar is what we're looking at. We don't actually trade this, but we use this more so as an indicator. It's important because it moves most of the market, right? It makes up for 80% of all trade. So if you see major movements coming out of the dollar, you'll see that with a lot of your, major pairs and other pairs that are affected by the dollar, like AU, UJ, even, crosses, you'll notice a movement if the rest of the market is moving a lot. So it has that much of an effect. So it's always good to kind of, stop and see what's going on, just be aware of, what's happening. Okay, so we're definitely bearish. Here is that level I was talking about, 91.5. And here's the volume that's like increasing in this pattern, right? So we're definitely moving lower, but definitely, a lot of conviction here. It's super bearish. We recently pushed to a new low, touched 90 flat, and then pulled back like almost to the pip, right? Pulled back, we hit a fib level, 61.8, right at 90.75, and now we're pushing lower again. Okay, so two things could happen at this point. Either this is going to be a pretty dramatic push, and we're going to see a push through 90, look for a new lower low, come back, test this zone potentially, give us a lower high, and then start moving lower again. All right, so that's definitely possible, just more bearishness out of the dollar. Or we could see, 90 hit, and then some sort of reversal from there. Maybe this forms a new range, starts to consolidate, whatever. But, pretty much for this week, the whole point of this analysis is that we're expecting the dollar to continue to drop, right? It has room to fall, and then expect some sort of reaction around the 90 level. That's how we're going to determine, what we're going to do next. All right, so that's DXY. Pretty straightforward, looking pretty clean, easy to analyze. Let's move over to our first tradable pair, AU. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing, right? Daily time frame. Let's jump up here. Overall, super bullish, right? Very bullish for a while. Even if we look back here, this has been the trend. But now something kind of interesting has been happening. Clearly, this is a range, right? We're having some, false breakouts. We didn't get a higher low above resistance, so didn't confirm it as support. So this is just, that's a fake out. The rest of this is a range for the most part, right? Support being right at our weekly, 0.76. Tested that a bunch of times. There are other minor levels throughout this, but these are the two main levels. 0.76 is support, 0.78 as resistance. Okay. So generally bullish still. Let's go to the 4 hour, see what's going on here, see if we can't spot some sort of opportunity, trade opportunity here. Okay, so we're gonna go over both options first. We're gonna go over the bullish option because the higher time frames all suggest that. Overall, we're pretty bullish on AU. So what would need to happen for us to enter long here, right? We need to see a break of 0.78, pull back, confirmed higher low, and then some bullish setups. This would kind of confirm a continuation and a breakout of this range. So this would be ideal. Definitely the most conservative and safest option. And then you could potentially target all the way up here towards 0.80. All right, so that's the bullish option. Now, for us to fully say AU is bearish on the 4 hour, we need to see a break of the range of support here. So this bearish option is more so just a reversal at 0.78 and a continuation of the range. Okay, because if we see a reversal here, it's probably going to drop throughout the week down towards 0.7715. All right, and then if we break this level, then we're pretty much bearish. Especially if we see some lower highs down here, we'll be targeting the weekly. All right, but this is just a massive range. There's not really much to trade here other than the range itself, or just simply wait for the breakout. All right, so that's AU. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this one looks pretty clean. And like you were saying,
Yeah,
like you were saying with DXY too, DXY pushes down. This thing will most likely push up.
right. Yeah, exactly. So there's some correlation there. You could see it in the TA for sure. But yeah, look, it's got room to run. So even if you check it on the daily, if you just step back, look at the broader view for the next couple weeks potentially, this is definitely a target, guys. 0.78. We hit it before. If we get there in a more steady pattern, that's probably more sustainable. You'll be able to have a lot of entry opportunities as well as exit opportunities, opposed to something as violent as this quick push and then pull back. So yeah, definitely possible target. So we'll see it. We'll catch it on the 4 hour, see how this level reacts, and then make a decision going forward in the week. So hopefully we see that sooner than later. Let's check. Okay. So yeah, that's AU. Let's move over to AJ. You're going to notice some correlation here as well, especially in the patterns that are forming. It's generally going to be, the same outlook as AU, just a little more dramatic. Some differences, some in formation here, but let's take a look at the daily. Overall, very bullish. Again, very aggressive run here. We have a little more consolidation in here. So this is, being a little more steady, a normal market movement, which is good. So yeah, bullish overall. We actually just broke resistance here at 84.4. So let's get a closer look on the 4 hour. So we know dropping down already, we're going to be generally bullish, right? So what just happened? We saw a bunch of ranging, the break of 84.4. There it is. Significant push higher, pulls back, tests a couple times. There's a flag pattern there, some other confirmations as well, but it held this level as support, which is what's important, right? And then we got some bullish confirmations pushing higher, quick retest on here. So that's all good. And then we made it a new push to, a new higher high, which is our 0%. Price action pulled back. We were looking for this area to test the support. It did, 84.4 again. And now we're moving above a minor level of resistance, 84.7, right? We just broke that. So now, ideally, the 61H right here as well. So there's some confluence in this area. Ideally, I'd like to see a higher low form here on the 4 hour, and then some, bullish setups. That would be great for entry, all in here. And then we're going to target 0% and potentially higher, right? As, we see this new leg form, we'll decide if we're going to push the negative 27 and beyond 0. So that's what we're looking at right now. definitely waiting for this higher low to form. And again, yeah, very correlated to AU. So we should see both of them move in a similar fashion if we get a lot of AUD bullishness. So right off 84.7, nice higher low off this area would be good. So what needs to happen for us to say AJ is bearish? You know, what needs to happen for us to start looking at short opportunities? And ideally, it would be a transition of this level. So 84.4, right? So this was the major support level or major resistance level first. Now it's the major support level, kind of, you know, holding the trend here on the 4 hour. So if we move below that and confirm it with a lower high, get some bearish setups, this would be really perfect, you know, trade and then target lower towards major support at 83.3. All right, so yeah, pretty clean. Again, yeah, not bad structure at all. You know, a little bit of choppiness in terms of wicks, but the structure is good. I mean, things are lining up. Support's clearly holding. You know, if you're patient, you know, you could definitely catch a nice move here, and the volume's there as well. So, you know, definitely could run quite a bit. All right, so that's AJ. Let's move over to UJ, which actually is not as clear. This is probably my least favorite for the week. But let's go to the daily for a second. Overall, super bullish. You know, as of recently, January, February. I mean, this thing has been bearish for so long. That's why I say as of recently. But you know, it has been bullish since January, February. And now we were overextended for quite a while as this was pushing higher and higher. We didn't quite see 111.5 hit as resistance, but you know, we're still overextended, pulled back. We didn't see structure form until this level around here was hit. And then it started pushing back up, you know, higher lows, higher highs on the 4 hour. And now it looks like it's just going to continue with, you know, a more steady bullish trend here. So let's go to the 4 hour, see what's going on here. All right, now not as clear on the 4 hour. There's just a lot of, you know, volume. I think it's just been moving all over the place, and it's trying to find some ground here at 109.2, which it did actually. This is, you know, the most likely trade path for this week. You know, this is more like a flag pattern, guys. So definitely a continuation and good confluence with, you know, support here at the 4 hour, right at 109.2. So, you know, it's pushing higher. Next target for me would be 110. And then, you know, wait for this level to break. Same thing, looking for the higher low, continuation up towards our next resistance level. Finally, 111.5, you know, we could see. So let's go ahead and mark the rest of this out, because this looks like it has some good volume. This could complete, honestly, pretty quickly if it continues this way. So this would be more or less the next step for this, looking for the same thing, right? Transition of resistance into support. And wait for the higher low. Enter on some, you know, confirming setups, and then boom, that's your next target. So this could actually be, you know, your most conservative entry here, or, you know, a scale in if you're already buying off this. You know, but this is what the steadiest trend, if this continues, would look like up into this resistance level. All right, so what needs to happen for us to say UJ is bearish? That we're looking for shorts. Just the opposite of what we talked about. We want to see a break of 109.2, you know, maybe some ranging in this area, but ultimately, you know, lower highs, lower lows is what we want to see. So we'd enter on lower high below 109.2 or 108.4, and then target down towards our next significant support level, which would be 107. All right, but if this did pull back too, just look at this for a second. This is like a nice M pattern that would be forming, right? Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this chart for a second. Do you guys see that? Be a nice M pattern if it pulled back and then continued lower. So that's a nice reversal if it does go this way. And this is a nice, you know, long opportunity if it continues with this trend. So decent setups, but again, you know, not the cleanest in terms of what other options we have this week. So that's why it's my least favorite. But let's move on to EJ as our next. Start on the daily time frame. All right, so this thing, EJ is interesting because EJ really commits to whatever it's doing. You know, just look in these scenarios. Like we're on the daily, guys. So each candle is a daily, right? This is a whole bunch of consolidation. This thing committed to that, right? From, you know, December to January, over a month. And then once it starts rallying or, you know, commits to a trend, again, it just holds that movement for so long. And, you know, clearly we're bullish here. So tons of movement out of EJ. The thing is crazy, but when it does consolidate, you just have to watch out, right? So right now we're still moving. let's go to the 4-hour with this trend in mind. Very bullish. Zoom out a little bit here. Move over to this. All right, so this is the 4-hour. Again, just crazy bullish. Here was a ton of consolidation. Finally got the conviction and started pushing higher. Broke the range. Saw a nice flag pattern. Again, broke, pushed higher. Saw a little bit of consolidation here, but still mostly bullish, right? Still higher lows, higher highs. And now we're at a major level. We're at a major weekly right now. So 132.7. And it seems like we're breaking it, right? So ideally, I want to see this move past this level quite a bit. I want it to be a clear break, right? Significant push higher than resistance, and then a pullback. Confirm this level, really test it as support, confirm it as support, right? And then push higher. Then we would get it, obviously a new fib at that point. Ideally we see structure form as well. And then we'll be targeting, towards the negative fib levels and, new higher highs. So for now, I mean, we got to see a lot for us to get into a comfortable long opportunity. Because again, if this thing does start to pull back, it's still generally bullish as long as it's above 132 here. So we could honestly see this pull back and it just range for eternity, as EJ does. So, and then we finally see the breakout. So that's why I really am conservative on EJ once I see a push, because I really want to make sure that it is a push and something like resistance is really broken and that we can confirm it. Okay, because this thing could honestly just yank back right now and just range for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so that's why we want to wait for that. But yeah, these are the two options on EJ going into this week. All right, so that's EJ. Let's go over gold. Go on the daily time frame. So this is gold's been really interesting lately. I mean, we know we were super bearish after everything started recovering post-COVID, right? It's just been falling lower and lower. We broke 1800, which was kind of the real, the major level of this daily time frame, right? So as generally as price action was above this level, it was bullish. We saw massive rejection off it before, and as we're below it, we're basically bearish, right? So we actually saw 1675 hit right after that break, and then we saw a double bottom, price action reverse since that point, and gold's been pushing higher. We broke above 1800 once again, pulled back, started getting some higher lows. So we're pretty much bullish on gold again, but a little overextended almost, we can see. So let's go to the 4-hour and see what possible trade scenarios there are for this week. Okay, so here it is. It's actually breaking through resistance right now at a weekly, right? 1825. We did get a nice pullback, good fib level, good structure was hit 38.2. So this thing is honestly, mid trade. This was an trade that you could have potentially entered on somewhere in here on these confirmations on a lower time frame. And yeah, it's moving higher at this point. So I would say either it's going to pull back and form a higher low with conviction above the weekly at 1825, or it's just going to shoot off into the next resistance zone, which could be 1870, right at our negative 27 fib level. So that's definitely one of the likely options for this week. But if it does pull back, look for it to hit a deeper fib level, like 61.8, structure formation in this area, because it could definitely pull back into this little zone here. Maybe form a lower high, push lower, test 1800 again. So we'll see. We'll see. I just want to, if you're not in this trade already, you just got to be conservative and wait for it to pull back, confirm a higher low. All right, so that's gold. Yeah, very interesting. And again, if the dollar drops, I mean, this thing's probably going to shoot off, hit even higher targets, blow through resistance here, and could see new highs on the 4 hours. So that's all that I've got for you guys. A quick recap: covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. All right. I know Angela's got quite a bunch more for you guys.
All right. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, feel free post it up in the chat. I know it's Sunday, not really going to be taking too many positions today, but this is just meant to line all of us up, for the whole week. So if you guys are struggling with, again, just identifying the trends, just the basics, definitely go back, watch this video again and see if you can use some of the analysis this week, and I'll see if it can help you guys out. So
yeah, I mean, that's what it's there for, guys. Yeah, you can always go back and play it forward. It's pretty accurate, week to week basis.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and run
Yeah,
through.
slow movement.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and run through all the analysis that I prepared. We're gonna go through the major pairs. So we're gonna start with USDCHF. This is one that, again, last week, if you just simply followed the analysis that was posted here, you guys would have done well. So last week we had the market opened up, I believe, right here. We were anticipating that reversal back to a resistance level. So let me just bump up to the weekly and get an overall idea. So we're just looking, we're in this area, we're just looking at this entire push down. Let's see. We're just looking right here for this entire push down. So obviously price has been descending lower and lower. So that's our bias is bearish on the weekly time frame. Coming down to the daily, we are clearly in a bearish trend as well. We broke support here, retested as resistance, broke support, retest, broke, retest. And then this was last week. We opened up down here, although there was no wick at the bottom, guys. We're always looking for that retest. And price perfectly came up to this 90900 level, tested it, and then ended up falling, back to the downside. So continuing with this trend. So last week, if we did, follow the analysis, look at our level that had been hit, that was all the way up here. This is when we would have started to look for short opportunities. And then even down to here, once you have this 4-hour lower high established, you can bump down to the 30-minute time frame and you can start to ride this trend. So as you can see here, this is clearly trending downward all the way ever since this point of support broke. And then we had multiple areas to take entries. Could have entered here on these bearish engulfings at the resistance. Then we had this next entry opportunity right here, these bearish confirmations at the resistance. Price pushed down. Remember, the always comes back. No retest, no entry here. Price came back to retest this 90500. Then had that evening star. Could have entered on that. Pushed down. And then we had a break of support here. A little bit of a pullback. Again, could have entered on the bearish engulfing or this bearish engulfing. And then now this is where we're currently at. So we made this new low. Now we're coming back up, potentially for a retest to continue lower. Just keep in mind, guys, the trend is bearish on this lower time frame, but it certainly could start to flip around. As we look at the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour is or just made this lower high. Now we're obviously descending. The 4-hour is just kind of no man's land. We're not at a lower high. We're not at the low. If I were to make any sort of assumption, it's that price is just going to continue down into the demand zone down here. This is where it'll probably find some support. So I would just ride this trend down into the support level. Then at that point, one of two things will happen. And I wrote this down in the analysis that was published in the group. Either price is going to find support at this area, and I'll mark this down. So this is what we call a demand zone right here. So price previously came to this low point, formed support, and then pushed all the way to a new high. So this is definitely an area we want to monitor. As price reaches into this zone, we're going to want to monitor this because this could potentially come all the way back up. This could potentially come all the way back up off this zone, or if it does manage to break, this thing is going to fly down into this lower level. So I'm going to mark this up with the curve tool so we can just see how this plays out during the week.
This would be great if we saw that. It's
Yeah,
perfect trend. If you guys look to the left here, this is just be following this perfectly.
yeah, it's trending. I mean, it's when the market's trending like this, it's very easy to be a trend trader into swing trade. You're not entering at the low, like you're not entering a sell all the way to the bottom and trying to swing it. Like if anything, you're trying to intraday trade that. Right now, it formed that lower high. This is clearly trending. There's nowhere for it to really go right now until it hits this level. So that's why it's good to anticipate a potential sell. And you could even see on the 4-hour, there is a big level of support here that is retesting as resistance. So if we bump down back to the 30, this is a nice level to short off of, guys. So this is what the trade would look like if you guys wanted to potentially take a trade idea We would have stops down in this zone, or targets down in this zone. This is the demand zone that we're targeting on the higher time frame. And then you could squeeze this as much as you'd like. You could go for like a 3-to-1 risk reward, or if you want to play it a little bit more conservative, you can go 2-to-1 up here. And we know that if price breaks this trend line, if price breaks this trend right here, obviously it's going to reverse to the upside. But this is a super high probability trade right now, guys. I might even put this one out in the signal room, to be honest, because it just has a lot of confirmation. So we'll see how this one plays out. If anyone wants to get into it, that's sort of how it's lining up to be taken right there. So that's USDCHF. Let's go to GU. Things are ready, making its move. And this is also just perfect time to short this, guys, right now. So let's take a look on this one. Let's come up to the weekly time frame. All right, so going into the week, we can clearly see last week form this like large wick, a lot of buyers exhaustion. If we look previously at this level over here, obviously huge wick, so a lot of buyers exhaustion stepping in. If we go up a time frame, we can clearly see price is not broken here since 2016, so it's been pretty much below this price level for 5 or 6 years. So to me, that has me thinking that price is going to reverse off this high and head lower. I want to potentially anticipate reversals. As I come down to the daily, we can clearly see daily time frame is bullish, broke into this bullish trend. Now we're at this high. But look at this huge bearish engulfing candle at the resistance level. So this would technically be like a supply zone up here. Nice bearish engulfing candle. As I come down to the 4-hour, now I'm starting to see this. We had price consolidate at the top. We formed even a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. Price dumped down. Now we came back, always looking for the retest of that zone. So we're retesting that zone. Look at the wick, followed up by this candle. Now this candle is potentially starting to push down. So this is also another potential trade idea. If you wanted to play this really conservatively, what I would look for is another follow-up candle to close below this support level right here. And then we'll look for that retest, as always, of the resistance. And then I would just target this higher time frame. Because remember where we're at, we're targeting that 4-hour push. This would be like a swing trade idea. So this would be the trade idea. We'd have stops above the level, take profit right down here. So we could even shape this up a little bit so it's 2-to-1. So yeah, that'd be the trade idea right there. GU does sort of go against USEF. Obviously, USEF, we're looking for it to go lower. In most cases, that would mean the dollar would be losing strength. And then on GU, we're looking for the dollar to gain strength by heading lower here. So these two trades, you could even just sit on both of these ideas right here, basically enter in both of them, and then whichever one starts to play out, the other one you can just cut losses pretty quickly and then ride out the winner, and then that way you can potentially get yourself into a little winning trade here because price action is showing two good setups on these. So we'll keep these in mind. Again, GU, wait for the follow-up candle. So if this closes bearish, you could even just set a sell limit at this level because that would mean the trend is starting to turn over, and then get in on that trade. So those are two trade ideas. Let's go to UCAD, see if this one's shaping up to be of any value to us right now. So right away on the weekly time frame with UCAD, guys, look at how the trend has pushed below the support level, made this new low, and then we have this doji, or this spinning top, whatever you want to call it. We have this candle, low body, 2 wicks on each side. This is a reversal candle. So this is telling me price could start to potentially come up. Coming down to the daily. Daily time frame tells like a little bit of a different story here. We have daily, very bearish, obviously. But look at that huge bearish engulfing candle that formed right here. Huge bearish engulfing candle. So, you know, that's telling me that sellers on Friday stepped in and rejected this resistance level. And we're about to see this in a second as I come down to the 4-hour. Because last week, this was like literally the idea. The idea was short at this resistance level first, and there was multiple opportunities there. And then as price broke up, we had that more key level that it retested, and then obviously a huge wick, and then it ended up playing out really well. So could have gotten in on multiple entries just based on these levels last week. So this week, you know, what are we looking at? I pretty much marked this zone. Let me just bump back up to, let's see, all the way up to the weekly. Let's come back down to the 4-hour. All right, so I pretty much marked this zone based on the 4-hour time frame. Just looking at this on the line chart, we can clearly see resistance here, support there. So there was just a lot of indecision around this level. You can even see support, resistance, support. So I was expecting price to push down, but obviously price is pushing up. Right now, the dollar's a little bit stronger. So this one's not like the best, in my opinion, for a trade right now. You know, I would want to see price close below here to continue to short this. If this starts to turn up and pull back, then it could start to actually push up a lot more. It probably will push back up to this level. And then remember the weekly, that spinning top candle. This is really a good indication that the price is going to reverse. So we might want to potentially get in on buys on this coming down to the 1-hour. If you're trying to be like super aggressive, you could potentially, or you could just line this off. And again, you'd have to sit on the 1-hour for this to play out, but you need another candle to close above. You need this candle to close bullish, and then a follow-up candle to close bullish. And then from there, you'd pretty much just be taking entries on the retest. So you'd be taking entry on that, your targets would be all the way up there. Now, option 2 would be if price just suddenly starts to reverse. As soon as it gets below this level, you start to short. So those are 2 trade ideas for UCAD. We're gonna definitely have to wait it out, see how it plays out, you know, early in the week on this one or through the night tonight. Let's go to Euro USD next. Pump up to the weekly time frame. Let's go all the way up to the monthly. So let's just focus on, clearly up here, there's a big resistance level, but we're not there yet. We are about, let's see how many pips we are. We are about 200 pips or 170 pips away from that high. So we're not going to worry too much about that resistance yet. Price is clearly bullish on this monthly time frame. It has been bullish, forming these highs and higher lows. Coming down to the weekly time frame, we got into a bit of a bearish trend here, and then it broke out. We actually broke resistance here, then we broke resistance here, and we retested it last week successfully with that large ass wick, and then coming down all the way to the daily time frame. This one was very subjective, but basically last week what I was looking at on this one was we had, delete this, we had a bullish trend. We maintained support, pushed up. We broke this resistance level right here. And then price came back to retest the resistance right there and then found support and ended up pushing higher. So that's what the trade was last week. If you guys go back on the analysis, you can check it out. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame, this thing is kind of ugly for me. You know, it's kind of ugly for me. I do anticipate this thing pushing higher. I wouldn't want to enter in a buy up here. I would only want to get in on a buy if it comes back kind of down to the support level. So EURUSD, really no trade for me, like as of right now. If anything, if it does manage to break above this high right here, that's when I'm going to start to look for more buying opportunities. So it's got to prove to me that it's going to really break above this resistance before I start to buy it up. And then on the flip side, say it rejects this level, we should be targeting it to head lower back down into this area. So this is the zone 121,500. I'll mark it as sort of a rectangle. I'm actually going to mark it a little bit higher. I'm going to mark it up here. This is a supply zone. So we would want price to accelerate and get a little bit higher before we start actually taking buys. And then on the flip side, if price does start to just reject this area, we should definitely look for sells on this one. So that's EU. Next, let's go to NZD, USD. Let's bump up to the weekly time frame. This one's a little bit more clear. We're already at this major resistance level. So as we could see, had this wick resistance here, and then we came up and we're rejecting this level again. So I wouldn't want to take buys unless we get above that zone. Personally, if anything, I want to take sells coming down to the daily time frame. This is when I'm just anticipating the move. I'm using the monthly resistance level. I'm giving it a lot of, I'm letting it weigh heavily on my decision making right now. The trend is bullish. The trend here is bullish. We maintain this level of support here, as you could see last week. And now what I'm looking for is price to accelerate back into the monthly resistance, which is 72800, back into this area before we look for some shorts to then get to the downside. So I am trying to short, but I'm not trying to short it until it gets up into our main zone, coming down to the 4 hour. 4 hour, we don't need to look at anything to the left of this. All we need to look at is these two areas. This was the resistance. We flipped support, resistance, and then again, that's that resistance up here. So that's that high point. So we could just mark this down as another supply zone. So these are the two areas we're trying to short from. We could start to short it right now since it's already rejecting a key zone. So we could start to actually take short opportunities. Right now, I'm going to go down to the lower time frame in a second and take a look. Or if price does manage to break through this, that would be the zone to short from. So keep these two zones on your charts for this week. Coming down to the 30-minute time frame. Look at this. Pretty much we had price go straight up right here, and now we're starting to turn back, but we're not breaking any support. This is just bullish, 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 bullish. Price opened up here, shot up. If anything, if price breaks below this area, because there's just no support in this zone. If price breaks below this, which clearly was some sort of support level when the market opened, that price was like significant for whatever reason, then we could catch this on the next lower high. I'm not going to short it right now. I want to catch this on lower highs. What does that mean? That means this is a lower high. If price comes down and pulls back, that would be the next lower high, and then we could short it there. So that's just one idea. Ideally, it comes back. Ideally, we see this. This is what I want to see on this pair on the lower time frame. I want price to come up, resist this level, come back down, form another lower high, and then all of a sudden we break. And then that's when we try to get in on it, when we have that actual break. So I'm going to leave this on my chart. I'm going to review it when this does start to play out. And it's going to be interesting. You guys are going to see kind of, this is just anticipating the idea and just using the levels. The levels is the most important thing. Again, me and Nick both mark, Nick even more than I do, marks down like the main levels to look at. If you just trade off of those levels, guys, you can be relatively successful. So last, I'm going to go through the almighty GJ. This thing's already taken off without us, but that's completely okay. Just on the weekly time frame, real quick, just one thing is, guys, we have this resistance level up here at 155, 400, 350. We have this resistance level right here, which we already tested and we just broke. So prices, you could bet almost all your money that price is going to come back up to retest this high now. It broke the resistance already. We're coming up. We're coming up to this level. What happens there, we don't need to worry about yet. We don't need to worry about quite yet. But once price does get up to that level, or price is most likely going to get up to that level, and once it does, then we can reassess and potentially look for reversals. But right now, I'm simply looking for price to continue to that zone. And it's still a nice move. It's 90 pips away. You know, it's 90 pips away. So this is a good buy for you guys to potentially get in on. And look at this. We had a very bullish trend form this high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then we had this minor resistance level that just broke and flipped. So this is another one where you guys should be considering potentially taking trades on this. Going to the 30-minute, price was bearish, forming these lower highs. We just broke. The best entry was down here. This is really where you should have entered. Now we're all the way up here and we have a bearish engulfing. So we want to get this again. Oh, shit. About to get the random photos to pop up.
Yeah.
I don't know what I got. I don't know what I got on there too, so I got to make sure it's all.
Good call. Good call.
Oh shit! All right, so guys, we need price to come back down to enter. We don't want to enter now. If this breaks, then we can enter on a retest. But we just had a bearish engulfing, so ideally this comes back down into the resistance, and we get it on a buy down here. So I'm just gonna throw a little. You could potentially throw a limit order or just throw like your tool on here, but this thing is heading high. Like I'll bet almost half. Like this is a trade that has high probability. Like the resistance levels up here. Price just showed a simple break and retest. Now we're just trying to get in on like the best possible entry. But if you're not even trying to get fancy because of how high these targets are, you could enter right now. You could enter right now and just throw your stops below here. And this would be the trade, 2-to-1 risk reward. So we've got multiple trades right now. I'm gonna throw some of them in the signals, but that's all the analysis that I have for you guys for this week. The video will be uploaded to YouTube in a little bit, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit us up in the telly. And yeah, big things coming this week.
Yeah, guys. A lot of good stuff. So yeah. Next for analysis, Wednesday.
Wednesday. We'll follow up with this analysis on Wednesday, see how everything played out. Again, if you guys want to take a look at any of the trade ideas, just come over into the Telegram. That's where me and Nick just posted everything. Also in the Discord chat, it's in there. If you guys aren't in the free course, make sure you join the free course. I'm gonna just pull up the telly real quick. We'll go to the top here. So if you come to this pinned message at the top, I don't know why it's freaking black. Telegram sucks. But if you come to the pinned message at the top, this is where all of our stuff is. We have a discussion chat with all the members in it. As you can see here, people are posting their trade ideas, talking about things that are going on. Then if you come down here, we've got this message box. This is where you can get our free course, the Discord, the free Telegram. And then we have a sign-up bot for each of our programs, the full membership, the one-on-ones, the signals, account management, and then coming soon, the funded trader program. So a lot of good things going on, guys. If you need help, if you're new, getting started, everything you need is pretty much in the community. If you need to shoot us a message, just click live support if you have any questions, confused about anything, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, guys. All right, guys. Thanks for spending your Sunday, another Sunday with us.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys again soon.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good one, guys.